This is a bottle of olive oil, but not just any bottle. I got it on holiday, which makes it a souvenir, which means I can't throw it away. So we need to turn it into art. This is going to be difficult. You might be wondering how. Well, I have an idea. Instead of olive oil, think olive tree. How's about we wrap the bottle in clay and make it look like the trunk of an olive tree and then put fake plants on top. So the entire piece is gonna look like an old olive tree, okay? Okay, bear with me on this one. We need clay, we need a cutting board, a bit of water, and I am a complete beginner when it comes to clay, okay? Obviously, we need the bottle, a little bit to cover up, and a couple of tools. This is all I've got. This is the extent of it. We're gonna make do with what we've got. And this is the reference photo we're using. It's an ancient olive tree with lots of definition that we need to somehow add with clay. I have this white clay that's already open and it's just crumbling apart. Like, can you see that? I don't think this is what clay is supposed to look like, right? It doesn't look like that. And this is air dry clay, but it's just falling apart. Reaching for some fresher parts, and it's doing the exact same thing. So we're reaching for a brand new chunk of air dry clay. This one is terracotta, as you can see, but we're gonna paint over it anyway. And this is what we're gonna use to try and roll the clay. Yes, it's a water bottle. It didn't work. So we're using a can. We're really just making do here. I'm not the kind of person that will go out and buy a ton of new art supplies when I try a new medium. I will get the bare minimum, try and make do with what I've got, and then invest if I really like using the art supply. And I don't think that's a bad habit. Only investing when you know you really like something, because otherwise if you don't have the space, you're just gonna end up with so many different art supplies that you don't actually use. So we need a base for this tree. I've got kitchen foil and we're trying to wrap it with clay. Let me just remind you, I am a complete noob. I am a complete beginner. I don't know what we're doing. This is my first time using clay. I've kind of watched my partner do it before, but I've never really done it myself. I think we score it and then wet it a little bit to smooth it out. That's the extent of my knowledge. So we are winging this and just seeing how it all goes. This is a trust the process project, okay? If you saw the plushie makeover last week and thought that was a trust the process, no, this one is a crazy trust the process project. I'm telling you, this goes through so many phases and it's a really jam-packed video. I'm bringing you along for the entire process, which includes making this questionable clay piece. It kind of looks like poop and we have to somehow fix this and make it look like a tree. I don't know. Oh, like, look at this. Can you trust the process? Because I'm struggling. Well, I asked for help in the Discord server and it looks like we want to get some kind of glue or super glue to stick it down. Arrived at the art store. We need to get super glue. We also need to get regular glue. You're gonna see in every single Create This Book episode that I just progressively run out of glue to the point that I had to use anything to get it stuck down. So both of those things are needed. Let's go. Look at this. This is so fluffy. So this is why I use Winsor & Newton, okay? Like, that's more than it used to be, but it's the cheapest by far. But that being said, there's like no other brands to choose from. I guess there's some others, like we also get these here, but not really watercolor, just acrylics. Okay, I think this is the section. Or maybe, oh, that's more than I thought it would be. I'm not seeing the other thing. These are really cool though. These are like little glue dots. I've not tried them, but they look cool. But now we need to go find the super glue. Okay, there's actually like loads of choices. I don't know. We've got it. We've got the super glue. The bottle is completely dry, and yes, that is a scrunchie holding it all together. And I'm now realizing this glue actually takes 48 hours to dry. Got it all over myself already. Super glue is the worst, so we're reaching for some gloves. And let's be honest, we need to cover this clay completely. It's clay on glass. That's not really gonna stick voluntarily. It needs super glue, and it's taken forever to dry. But finally, we can move forward with gesso. We need to paint more. There are other parts of the trunk that we want to show on this. And yes, I was gonna do the sketch with you. Did not expect to nail it first time. So unfortunately, I did just do the sketch. I think we need sandpaper. We need to smooth out this clay a little bit. Add in those extra parts. But we do want a lot of the glass to show through. It is clear, it is a glass. And I feel like we should be making the most of that. I kind of want it to look like there's an old tree that's taken over the vase. Well, bottle, but I guess it's gonna end up a vase because we're gonna put fake flowers in it. Or branches. We need it to look like an old tree. Got this mark in the front that we need to cover up. But really, I'm just going with the flow at this point. Made a couple of mistakes that I had to try and cover up. I do want the branches to look like they're looping around the bottle. I think it might look pretty. And trees do often have patterns. So hopefully the 3D areas are going to give this a little bit more dimension rather than just painting on the entire thing. This gesso is not very opaque though. And I don't know if it's going to stick to the glass or not. I'm hoping because it's going to sit on a shelf looking pretty. Hopefully everything will stay together. But this is what we've got so far. A couple of extra little pieces wrapped around the tree. Fingers crossed it will come together. Ooh, it's time to paint this bottle. We need a hard paintbrush because we're actually using acrylic markers for this. And that's crazy because none of these colors look like a tree. Do you see what I mean about this being a big trust the process project? We've only got 1 or 2 browns. So we're starting with yellow. Really, I want this tree to have lots of dimension, but honestly, looking at this now, yes, it is yellow. I know how it looks. Trust me when I say I'm feeling the exact same, but somehow through a big journey we kind of pull it together. Well, so far we're only adding the yellow. Really, I want this to tone the piece, so we're not starting directly with white, and then we can add some of those highlights as well, going even brighter with another yellow. I want to say a quick thank you to my sketchbook buddies on Patreon. You guys are the best. You might be questioning why we're using acrylic markers. Okay, well, yes, I think we could have used acrylic paint from a tube, but there were a couple of reasons why I didn't want to do that. Firstly, I didn't want to mix a shade and then not be able to remix it because I don't have much experience with acrylics. I don't know how much we would need to mix to paint something like this, and I don't want to run out of a color. That's happened so many times to me before, and I was kind of afraid of that. Don't get me wrong, I know what this is looking like right now. It does not look like a tree, but because we're using acrylic markers, we can reach for any of these colors again and we'll have the exact same shade, so it will look consistent throughout. That means that we can now reach for the purples and the blues. Yes, we are reaching for bright purple and blue to add some shadows, and we don't have to worry about the paint drying. It just gives us a little bit more time to be a bit more careful and make sure it's consistent throughout. The other thing I like about using these acrylic markers are, as you can see, we can get in the shadows really easily, add lots of pigment, and then smooth it out with a paintbrush. If you were doing this just using paintbrushes, you'd probably need a couple. One that has the paint loaded up with it, and the other one that's a clean, damp brush that you can use to blend it out. I think this method just has a little bit more control. It's up to me exactly where I want to put all of that pigment, because you can aim pretty accurately with these acrylic markers, and then just smooth it out easily with the brush. The brush we're using is an older hard brush, and I actually picked this one because we do want it to look a little bit rough. It is a tree. We don't want this piece to be perfectly blended out. It needs to look a little bit aged, and we also need it to look brown, so I'm now reaching for a few more browns because there are hardly any in this set that I've got. That does mean that we're now moving on to a brush marker, and we're putting a lot of pigment down, so the yellow is kind of getting covered up right now, but it is there. It is slightly toning underneath. At the moment, it does kind of look a little bit like sick, and we don't want it to look like that, so I think we're gonna have to go a lot more brown. I'm gonna be completely honest, I wanted this piece to be quite vibrant. I wasn't exactly going for realism. Well, obviously. But that's the route that we're going now. Reaching for a very hard brush, because we're gonna have to dry brush. We need to add texture to this piece. It looks odd. I tried to blend it out and it looks weird. So I think we're gonna have to add more texture. We're gonna have to go darker, get into all of these deep sections in the tree trunk. I think this paintbrush here is the winner because it got into all of those cracks better. It's an ancient olive tree. It needs texture. It's looking weird. It still looks so weird. I know it looks weird, but I'm just hoping that when we put all of those fake plants on top, it's really gonna tie the piece together because it's still looking a little bit too vibrant here. My aim for this project was for it to look bright and colorful, and that's kind of making it look odd right now. So to counter that, we're actually gonna add black, really deepen those shadows, make this look like an old withered tree trunk. It's not the look that we were going for at the beginning, but with big projects like this, big projects that are a little bit crazy, a little bit out of your comfort zone, I think it's important to have a bit of leeway with yourself and understand that the project might go differently, it might not go as you planned, and to try and be okay with that, to try and just go with the flow. Because when the vibrant colors were not working, I could have sat there confused and disappointed that it wasn't going the way that I anticipated. But I just know if I left this project and came back to it another day, there's no way I'd know how to fix it. Everyone is different, and a lot of people can put a project to the side, come back to it in a day or two's time and have all of these fresh ideas and happily get on with it. Me personally, I know if I can't finish a project in 1 or 2 days, I'm gonna really struggle to come back to it. And I know that if it goes wrong and I leave it, I'm never gonna go back to it. I'm not gonna know what to do, how to fix it. I'm not gonna have the motivation to want to fix it. So I knew in this moment, even though it's not going to plan, if we can reach for a hard paintbrush and add some dry brushing and make it darker, we need to make this piece look as good as we can. It is different, but this project was already crazy. It'd be so much harder to come back to something like this. And the dry brushing is kind of working. We've got a lot more texture, but since it's darker, I think we need to add a little bit more color back in. And yes, we need to super glue this back on. This is the only section of clay that came off. And it's kind of understandable because, like, look at it. It's tiny. Well, anyway, now that everything's dry, we're gonna go over this with a decoupage medium. Not that paintbrush, that one is too big to fit in here. The little one. Gonna carefully go over everything and also the label, but I want to leave the glass so that we can see through. Yeah, we'll use this little bit of paper and a pencil because we need to loosely measure the size of the bottle. It's quite small. I don't know how many plants we're going to fit in. It's going to be a real challenge. Everything looks like a complete mess. And you know what? I almost forgot we need to do the bottom. Everything needs to be sealed and dried. I've got the paper. Let's head to Ikea and get some cute little plants to go in that pot. These are cute, but they do look pretty fake, right? Cool. Let's do this. Kind of looking at these. They're a little bit odd though. I don't know how it's gonna work. Ooh, we could try it. It's a bit of a risky fit though. We'd also cover it up. I don't know if that will fit. So we're gonna get some safer plants just in case. Yeah, this is the one that I like. All of these are flowers though, and I don't think it will go because we're kind of making a tree. That's a big one. This is quite cute. Okay, bear with me. Stick or no stick? It is a tree trunk. It's a really old one, so that might go with it. How's about this? Might be a little bit much. I think it could work. We might have to remove a little bit, but I think it could work. It's kind of mostly green, a little bit of branch. It might go with the tree trunk, okay? It's time to actually turn this piece into art. Here it is, looking cute. And I got all of these. We got some fake sticks. I got some falling leaves. I don't know if these are gonna work. This one is a definite. I don't know what else I would use it for if it wasn't for this piece. It fits. This one is a definite as well. That was a really bad way to cut that. Honestly, they're not coming off very well. Fake flower, fake orchid, that fits. Now next we've got these. I think I'm gonna cut them. Hopefully they're not all glued together. Oh no, they are. They glued them all together. Well, that's a disaster. I don't know if it's gonna fit. Why would they do that? I don't know if it's gonna fit now. I was hoping that we could just have some of them in there, but oh no. Why would they glue them all together? They don't all need to be at the bottom, right? Maybe we could just cut a couple. Ugh. This is really strong. It's a better fit, but we might want to lose another. That's kind of fitting. This one is a 2, so it might look really dumb, but we'll give it a go. And then I got a random fake orchid. I don't know. So I've got these that I picked up, and I don't know if they're gonna work. Maybe not that color. Is this a vibe? Could do with a cable tie really, but I couldn't find any. So this is the situation. This is sitting on top of there. Balance the plastic thing behind, well, the plastic thing. I think it kind of works. Let's pop it in place and see. Are you prepared to see the most extra vase you've ever seen in your life? It looks like an overgrown tree, which is what I was going for. I think we're gonna need to do a little bit of rearranging, but I kind of like it. I don't know, let me know what you think down below. Thank you for joining me for this crazy project. Why don't you give it a like if you enjoyed? I'll see you in a few days. Bye-bye.